Welcome to another edition of Writings from the Hills. Today I'm going to be reading an excerpt from The Cold, Cold Hand, and this is actually a stories of ghosts and haunts from Appalachian foothills. And these are a collection of different stories. The authors include James V. Burchill, Linda J. Kreider, and Peggy Kendrick. A special thanks to Thomas Nelson Publishers for giving us permission to use the book. And the selection I'm going to read is Aunt Mary's Stories. Billy Bernhardt's ancestral roots are buried deep in the Appalachian Mountains. The heritage of folk, lore, and legend is a treasure and a legacy he shared. Billy sat at the office chair, head back and eyes closed, remembering his childhood and the old stories he had first heard during those years. Two of those old tales in particular stood foremost in his mind. Both involved his family, the events having touched those he loved. Billy opened his eyes and sat up straight in the chair, and in a soft, low-pitched voice began to recount the stories that had been related to him by his aunt, Mary Bramlett. My Aunt Mary always told the family stories. She told a lot of the others, too, but it was the family ones she was most interested in. Maybe she wanted us kids to know them and pass them on to our own children. They were a history of sorts, reminding us perhaps that life isn't always good, but is often hard and painful, strange and haunting, and sometimes unbelievable. That is especially true for those of us living here in the North Georgia mountains of Gilmer County. Some of Aunt Mary's stories used to scare the kids so bad we were afraid to go to bed at night. But the two she told most, she always swore were true. Aunt Mary lived out in the Yukon section of the county, in the big, old, rambling two-story house. Many years before, a rich man had lived there, and everybody for miles around suspected that he had hidden a fortune in the gold somewhere in the house. One night, some men came to rob the man, who was a pretty big fellow and more than likely put up a good fight. When the robbers couldn't make the man tell where he had hid his fortune, they killed him. They cut off his head and then ransacked the house until they found the gold. Undoubtedly, the robbers became scared because of what they had done. They had to know that they would be hung if they were caught with the stolen gold, so they hid it. The robbers probably decided it would be better to let the things calm down a bit and then come back later to get the gold they had killed for. After all, they were the only ones who knew where it was hidden. It was shortly after the murder that Aunt Mary and her husband Monroe moved into the old house. And on that very first night, and every night thereafter, some very strange things happened. When Aunt Mary and Monroe went to bed, the front door would swing open and a man's heavy footsteps could be heard echoing through the wooden floor toward the rocking chair in front of the living room fireplace. The chair would creak as a headless figure dressed in a long overcoat and high-topped leather boots settled in it and slowly began rocking back and forth. That headless man would continue to rock until someone got out of bed and lit the lamp, and then he would disappear. He never bothered anything. He just came to the house every night, sat by the fireplace, and rocked. The headless man was seen by a lot of Aunt Mary's neighbors. He always wore the same high-top boots and long overcoat. Many people thought he might be searching for his lost gold as he walked the roads and fields. One morning, after several years of the haunting, Aunt Mary went to fetch water from the spring. When she got there, she noticed the great holes had been gouged in the moss-covered ground around the spring, almost as if someone had frantically searching for something. After that day, no one, not Aunt Mary or anyone else living in the area, ever saw the headless man again. Maybe he had been standing guard over his gold all those years. Or maybe he was waiting for his killers to return. No one knows for sure. The gold was never found, and the murderers were never caught.